Hello YouTube, hello. I'm gonna have to sit really far back so that you can see my costume. They didn't get this on the Facebook version, you know. Oh no, I saved this for you. Hello, I am Lara, this is Theatre of Science. This is actually my job. I do a live, all ages like home ed lesson, which is a proper science lesson, and I do an IGCSE lesson, and I do this. It's the show with the Lego Storytime where I just tell you all about a thing I learned, and this week I've learned about the Dawn Chorus. This isn't gonna, it's not gonna work, is it? No, it makes a nice hood. So the Dawn Chorus is the time in spring where birds wake up really early and all sing at the same time, and it's supposed to be like one of the most incredible things that's ever happened in nature. I've been on this planet for 40 years, never seen it, never. You've got to get up really early, but I'm going to after this show. So that's the basics, but I did, once I started reading about it, I had a lot of questions. Why do they sing? Why do they sing in spring? Why does this not happen at any other time of year? Why do different birds sing at different times? Why so early in the morning? And why is it just birds? And I found out interesting answers to all those questions. We're going to do an activity which is very much related to this. It is a bit faffy. I said you had to bring, if you're joining in, 4 identical spice jars. To make it even more confusing, you actually just need 2 pairs of identical spice jars, if you see what I mean. What we're going to do is, we're going to cut a small piece of cardboard. We're going to fill our spice jars, one with very hot water and one with very cold water. We're going to put a little bit of cardboard on top of one, turn it upside down carefully and put it on top of the other. So you're going to end up with liquid balanced on top of liquid in a jar. We're going to put food colouring in both of the jars and put the whole thing in a baking tray so that if and when it all gets knocked over, it doesn't make a terrible mess. Okay, so first of all, while I'm chatting on about the first questions, just cut a piece of card that fits over the jar, all right? Don't like draw around the jar, not perfectly, just a piece of card that's small that you can put over the opening to the jar so that none of the water will fall out. Okay, right, so why do the birds sing? Well, they sing to attract a mate. So springtime is the time where a lot of animals start thinking about reproducing themselves, having babies, and birds are no different yet. So they sing to attract a member of the opposite sex. Usually it's a male singing to attract a female, and they also sing to defend their territory, right? So we talked about robins a lot on Theatre of Science. When robins sing their beautiful song, they're basically just saying, "Go away, this is my bit, everyone stay away from this bit, this is my bit." So that's what they're doing, very, very early in the morning. It's not just the males that sing. People think that it is, but it's not. When they've studied birds that sing in the Dawn Chorus, over 60% of the bird species that sing, the female was singing as well. But the female was kind of hiding away a bit more and singing slightly more quietly. The reason why people think that it's the male birds that sing, I didn't know this, only the males, it's because obviously women for a long time, female humans were just not allowed to go to university and were very much discouraged from doing science. So most bird experts are still men. And it turns out it's been scientifically proven that men are more likely to study male birds than they are female birds. That's a very good example of why everyone should be learning science, because yeah, females more likely to study female. I don't know. Anyway, that's why they sing. Why do they sing in spring? Right, let's start filling up our jars while I talk about that. So you need 2 jars to have cold water in them and put some food colouring in as well. I'm going to go, it's not scientifically accurate, I'm just going to put blue in the cold water because everyone thinks of blue as being a cold colour, right? And I've got some red for hot, but it really doesn't matter at all if you're using different colours. Or if you've only got one colour, that's fine as well. Okay, so I'm just going to pour cold water into 2 of my jars, and then I'm going to put blue food colouring in, or some sort of food colouring in. Why spring? It's probably the easiest one, this. Why would birds who are wanting to reproduce, have babies, lay eggs and that, why would they sing to attract mates in springtime? Why not in November? I'm asking you, why? You got it? Have you thought of a reason? There's a couple of reasons. There we go. It's because they're raising their babies, so they need food to give their babies, and if you start to reproduce in spring, then your babies will be around in the nest in spring and summer, when it's nice and warm and there's lots of food available. If the dawn chorus was happening in November and all the birds were getting together and laying eggs in November, then when the chicks arrived, it would be snow everywhere and they'd be like, oh, this is bad, this is not going to work. So that's why they sing in spring. Why different birds at different times? So yeah, it is different birds that sing at different times. I'll show you very briefly. There's loads of birds, and I've linked on my Facebook page and in my Facebook group to like all the different birds that sing, so you can listen to their calls. But it's usually the robin that starts off. It's usually the robin. It's just the, I don't know, the grey one, isn't it? The beautiful little robin. And then after the robin, you tend to hear the blackbird. And then after the blackbird comes the song thrush. This is a small one, they're usually bigger, but it's so cute. It's like a teenage song thrush, that one. And then the wren, smallest bird, comes a little bit later. Not the smallest bird, but the smallest one of those guys. And then you get the chaffinch. This thing's called the chiff-chaff. And the last one that I've put, the one that rocks up towards the end, is the dunnock. The dunnock has this week won the Theatre of Science Award for least memorable bird. The dunnock, it just looks like a bird, doesn't it? And it just sounds like a bird as well. I've been listening to all the different bird calls and good luck. Good luck telling the dunnock. Right, I've got 2 jars that look like this. It's not already, this is bad. I've got 2 jars of blue cold water. So now I'm going to put warm water into the other 2 jars, along with some red food colouring. I've actually boiled my kettle, but because the bigger the temperature difference, the better it works. But please be really careful, right? I'm not joking, I'm not trying to be patronising, but if you're watching TV and thinking about science, not a good time to pour boiling water into glass. The glass could smash. So I'm using really hot water, but just get an adult to do it, right? Or just use hot water, that'd be fine. Like very, very warm water. So I was looking into, people seem a bit hazy on why different birds sing at different times. Like why does the robin start and the other birds come later? They think that might actually be the case that the early bird catches the worm. So the earliest birds, they tend to, first of all, be a little bit more able to withstand the cold because it's very cold first thing in the morning. I'm putting red food colouring into my water now. So the kind of the hardy, slightly bigger birds, they can get up a bit earlier when it's really cold and start singing first, whereas like your wrens are kind of smaller, a bit more delicate, a bit more affected by the cold, so they get up later. But also, the birds that sing first, their food tends to be available earlier. So the reason that they sing so early is because there's no food available first thing in the morning. Like either the food hasn't woken up or it's just so dark that the birds can't see their food. So they're singing in the nighttime, like when it's dark, because they can't do anything else. So, you know, it's something to do, innit? But the birds that wake up first and start singing first, they eat worms, which are available kind of a bit earlier. And then things like the wrens and the birds that wake up later and start singing, their food is available, just kind of comes out a bit later. It's kind of cool. It's like a sort of staggered, like on the tube in London or something, staggered times. So some birds get up really early, do all their singing, and then go off to get some food, and the other ones like rock up a bit later and do their singing, and then go off to get their food later. And this activity is also telling you why they get up so early to do it. The other study that I saw was of, in a rainforest somewhere, that the birds that perched higher up and had bigger eyes woke up earlier and started singing earlier because they were just higher up in the trees and they had bigger eyes, so they were getting more light into their eyes, which is quite easy to remember. Okay, I now have 2 jars of very, very hot water, which are this tasty red colour, and 2 jars of very cold water. I'm going to put you as far back as I can so that you can watch me, and then you can do this too. So we'll put a piece of cardboard over the top of the blue, and we'll put a blue jar onto a red jar, all right? What could possibly go wrong? Here we go. There we go, perfect. Right, so we'll do blue. So I'm going to put this piece of cardboard on top of my blue jar. And I'm going to turn it upside down. And because of incredible physics that we won't go into, the card is going to stay on the jar. And I'm going to put that on top of the red jar, okay? So you might want to watch me before you do it. Oh, look at that! Already this is a brilliant activity. Okay, but don't show off, don't get cocky, just pop it on top of the jar. So blue on top of red. I'm going to pull the card away. What do you think is going to happen? Prediction, please. Done it? Good. All right, let's go. This is the really tricky bit where you've got to pull the cardboard away without spilling too much of the water. There we go. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Did you predict that was going to happen? So all the red is going into the blue and all the blue is going into the red. You probably did predict that that was going to happen, didn't you? Look at that. Splendid. Lovely colours. Yes, very pretty. Right. Let's do... What was that? That was blue on top of red. So now we've got to do red on top of blue. A prediction, please. Get my reds. Turn it upside down. Hope that it stays in. Yay! But don't show off. And blue on top of red. Here we go. Prediction. You predict this is good. Yeah, I thought you had. Okay, let's go. Gasp! Did you predict that? That is so good. This is definitely the faffiest and the best activity that we do on Theatre of Science. I'll show you, look at this. So good! So when it was cold on top of warm, it's all mixed together to make this lovely purple colour. And when it was hot on top of cold, it's just stayed hot on top of cold. So cool and so weird. Look, I swear there's no partition there. They've just balanced on top of each other. And they will do that happily for ages. The one that I did on Facebook this morning is still like that. Isn't that great? What's going on there? What on earth has this got to do with birds? Well, what you're seeing... Oops, sorry, chickadee. What you're seeing there is a difference in density at work. So, knock that off. Cold water... Let's talk about air, because we're talking about bird song, right? Bird song travels through the air. One of the reasons why birds get up so early to sing is because the air is very cold and still, and sound travels better through cold, still air. So let's say air. I know, let's just say that the air is these little blue particles, all right? All these blue particles are cold air. So cold air particles, they haven't got very much energy, right? So they're all quite close to each other and they're not moving very much. They're all close to each other, meaning the cold air is quite dense. Hot air particles, they've got more energy. They're whizzing around a bit more. They've got more space between them. They are less dense. And what happens is dense things sink and less dense things rise. So there you go. So that's why when you put the cold water on top of the hot water, the cold water moved down and mixed in with the hot water particles. Whereas when you put the hot water on top of the cold water, there's no movement because everyone's very happy. This is the natural way of things. The hot water's like, yes, I will stay here on top, and cold, you will be down there. And the cold's like, fine, I agree. And then it just doesn't move for weeks. What this has got to do with birdsong. So sound travels further through cold air, still air. The particles are very close together, they're a little calmer. Sound travels further. Sound travels faster actually through hot air, but it travels further through cold air. So when the air is cold, the birds can be heard from further away, which is better, isn't it? If you're trying to attract a mate, you know, you want like a bigger pool of birds to choose from or something. If you've been coming to my refraction lessons, oh yes, all fitting together. If you've been coming to my all ages lessons that we've just done on waves, then this happens, right? Check this out. Imagine this is a sound wave coming up through the cold air on a morning. You see what I'm getting at here? The top of the sound wave hits the warm air, and I've just told you that sound waves, or all waves, travel faster through warm air. So what happens is this bit of the wave starts moving faster. This bit of the wave is still in the cold air, so is moving slowly, and the whole thing pivots here. So you get kind of this effect where the sound wave ends up going like bouncing along through the cold air, travels further. I know. Right, so that's one of the reasons that they get up so early. So the last question is, why birds? So the kind of birds that do sing are specifically perching birds. I'm doing this because if you picture all birds that you can think of, you can tell, can't you, right, that some of their feet are just designed for perching and some are not designed for perching. I'm saying designed, you know what I mean, like evolved, whatever. Seagulls, not perching birds. Sparrows, perching birds. So it's the perching birds that sing. And not all birds sing. If they're not singing, then it's just called a call. Like a bird that makes a noise but doesn't have this special song is a call. Apparently the difference is bird calls, like kind of noises that birds make, they just know how to do it. Like they come out of the egg, they're just like, yeah, I got this because evolution. Bird songs actually have to be learned. Birds have to listen to other birds, be like, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to do it like that. And birds have got this very, very special, well, I printed off a diagram and everything. Birds have got this really special thing going on. First of all, we need to talk about what we've got going on. So if you feel your throat, we'll do this and then it's story time. Feel your throat, just very, very gently, obviously. Put your hands in the front of your throat. Ideally be talking, like do a gentle You feel all these rings, right? That is your windpipe, your wind tube, the tube where the air is coming and going. It's got all those rings of cartilage around it so that it doesn't collapse, because that would be bad. And then right at the top, you've got something called your larynx, which is basically the voice box. And inside the larynx are these little flaps of sort of tissue that are vibrating. So when air goes past these flaps, these vocal cords, they vibrate, and that makes a sound, right? Here's a diagram. Oh yeah, I'm prepared. Here we go. So the posh word for your windpipe is your trachea. So air comes up your trachea through this whole thing here, which is your larynx, goes past the vocal cords, and that's how you make a noise. Here it is from top view, yeah? So these are the vocal cords. You can picture them vibrating as air goes to and fro. That is not what birds have got. Birds haven't got a larynx, they've got a syrinx, and it's all the way down here. So birds have got two lungs, just like we have, and these two little tubes here are going off to the lungs, and the voice box, which is their syrinx, is right down there by their lungs. I'm so delighted by this diagram. Who knew? Who knew that all the different voice boxes of birds were different shapes? Look, even a wood duck and a ruddy duck are different. It's as if this is where the human voice box is, it's as if their voice box is down here. I know, right? The syrinx. So this is a diagram of the syrinx. So this is why birds can make such incredible songs. It's because there's air coming from each side. Like if you think about it, by the time air gets to us, it's just gets to our voice box, it's just one air tube going into the voice box. They've got two air tubes going into their voice box. So each side of the voice box, the syrinx, because it's going to come up in story time, I have to keep saying it. Each side of the syrinx vibrates differently. So they can basically sing two notes at the same time. There are birds that can sing notes going up and notes going down at the same time. And they can sing while they're breathing out, and they can sing while they're breathing in. There's birds that can sing for 18 minutes without stopping. So next time you're listening to a bird song and it's changing, like the wren can change, it's like 100 times, I want to say 100 times per second, but that makes no sense. But maybe it's like 100 times in one little phrase. But anyway, the wrens in particular change notes incredibly quickly, and they can only do that because they've got this almost two voice boxes stuck together. Okay, that has segued us beautifully into story time. I just need to move this tray of hot liquid and glass. Okay, so I'll just do that and it'll be fine. And if you hear anything, then, well, it wasn't fine, but it doesn't matter, I'll be back. Okay, here we go. Yes! Got away with it. Might move this food colouring as well. Don't need this jar of cold water anymore. I'm just building suspense. I'm building suspense in stories. Okay. Sketch. Right, you ready? Good. Let's go. In nature, things evolve from each other into other things, right? We know this. That's how evolution works. One thing has babies and they change ever so slightly, and then eventually that thing evolves into a whole new thing. Things in nature don't just pop up out of nowhere, right? Well, have a look at your fingers, okay? Give them a wiggle. Scientists used to think that human fingers just kind of like popped into existence without anything obvious coming before them. And then it turned out that mammals are related to fish, and actually it was just that fish had babies and they had babies and their fins slowly changed and became fingers. So your fingers in fact evolved from fish fins. And here we are. But the bird voice box, the syrinx, it really does just seem to have kind of appeared from nowhere. No other living thing has it. Nothing except birds has the syrinx. Where did it come from? How did birds get it? We got a little bit closer to that answer in the 1990s when the oldest ever fossilised syrinx was found in somewhere that used to be very warm and covered in trees. That's right, Antarctica. The owner of this fossilised syrinx was Vagavis, a bird that lived 68 million years ago, and an X-ray of this bit of it showed, or strongly suggested, that this bird was a honker, a sort of Cretaceous goose. The scientist leading the study was Julia Clark, and she was very, very excited by the findings, but Julia wasn't trying to find out about modern birds. No. If you're good at maths and or you like paleontology, you've probably worked out what animal this very old goose was living alongside. Birds evolved from dinosaurs. I mean, birds are dinosaurs. Honestly, it's the coolest fact. We should say it every single week. Dinosaurs are not extinct. Dinosaurs are birds. Birds are dinosaurs. Birds evolved from specifically three-toed dinosaurs about 150 million years ago. We actually call birds, the proper name for birds is avian dinosaur. We call them that to distinguish them from the other dinosaurs. The other dinosaurs, FYI, they definitely are extinct. Yeah, I know, sad times. Anyway, we don't know how dinosaurs made noises. Did they have a syrinx like birds or a larynx like literally everyone else? Finding a fossilised bird syrinx was exciting for Julia because it gave her a massive clue. So this is my puzzle question to you. Why on earth would finding a fossilised bird syrinx be a great clue for Julia as to where the dinosaurs had a larynx or a syrinx or something else? What do you think? It was very exciting to her, and it was a big clue because it was proof that you could find fossilised syrinx and probably fossilised larynx as well. So if there's not a single fossilised syrinx or larynx among all the dinosaur remains that we've discovered so far, and there's not, it's quite possible that they just didn't have one. They didn't have a larynx or a syrinx. Julia did some digging. Yeah, because she's a paleontologist. She did some... Yeah, right, okay. And it turns out, crocodiles, which are related to dinosaurs, they do have a larynx, but they can make noises without them. Their mating call doesn't involve their larynx. It's called a closed mouth vocalization, where sound is made by filling the throat with air. And it seems, Julia suggests, this is what dinosaurs did. Doves do it as well. Yep. Next time you're pretending to be a dinosaur, Julia would advise forgetting the roar. We're almost certain now that dinosaurs certainly wouldn't have roared. It turns out it would be probably more accurate to talk like a pigeon. I mean, we knew that dinosaurs didn't roar, right? That doesn't make any sense. In the film Jurassic Park, best film ever made, the T-Rex's roar was produced by putting together sound recorded from a baby elephant. This is like the ingredients if you need to make a Tyrannosaurus Rex roar. A tiger's growl, if you watch the film, the sound you are hearing is part tiger growl, and also the noise of a crocodile. Actually, I think it was an alligator. The scene where it snorts, by the way, the T-Rex snort, that is actually the sound of a whale evacuating water from its blowhole. But in real life, opening your mouth to roar is just a really good way of letting your food escape. It's not a good idea. The sound that a T-Rex made was actually probably scarier than a roar. Closed mouth vocalization tends to make very low noises, and the bigger an animal, the lower the noise it makes. So if you picture like the sound of a mouse squeaking, and then you picture a big animal like a lion roaring, and then you imagine the T-Rex, it makes sense to think that the T-Rex probably had an incredibly low roar. So low, Julia says, that we don't think humans would have been able to even hear it. You would have just been able to feel it in your bones. But we have actually also found evidence that some dinosaurs could hear very high-pitched noises. So your last puzzle for today is, why would a dinosaur need to hear a very high-pitched noise? Why would a dinosaur... So the dinosaurs are making very low noises. Why would it be able to hear a high-pitched noise? Well, we think that the answer might be so that it could hear its little babies cheeping. Yeah! So baby birds cheep, obviously. Crocodiles cheep as well. This discovery strongly suggests that baby dinosaurs cheep too. There you go. I don't suppose anyone grows up imagining that they are going to be an expert on ancient bird syrinxes, but if you just keep following your dreams, they really could take you on some wild adventures. The end. You can applaud loudly while I go and blow my nose again. It will never end. It just never ends. All right, you lot. Thank you so much for joining me. That was the end of the Dawn Chorus show. So the Dawn Chorus happens at, well, if you got up at dawn, you can just look up when does the sun rise where you are. It's about 5 o'clock. About 5 o'clock. If you wake up at dawn to listen to the Dawn Chorus, you will hear just a mash of different noises. So many different noises. It'll probably be very confusing and you won't know which bird is which. Apparently the best thing to do is to get up an hour before dawn to listen to the Dawn Chorus. So you've got time to hear that robin singing and then the blackbird following, and then 47 minutes before sunrise, I believe the song thrush will start. So you can hear them all in order. You will notice that I have not played you any bird sounds during this show. I thought about it, I even found some royalty-free ones, and then I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to let you go, oh cool, I've learned about the Dawn Chorus now. No, if you're not interested, it's totally fair enough. And if you are interested, then on my Facebook page and in my Facebook group, I've linked to some excellent websites where they've got recordings of all the different birds that you might hear. And they've also described them in their own words. So that's kind of what I think you should do. That's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to listen to all these bird noises, and then quite soon I'm going to go to my local woodland and at the right time, I know that it's ridiculously early, and see if I can hear the birds. But I think it's quite a personal thing. I think you need to have an idea of what you think the song sounds like, right? So yeah, I think a good idea would be for you to get a little notebook, write a description of what you think each bird sounds like based on what you hear on this website that I've linked you to. Some people are just saying you can use an app. I mean, yeah, you can, but it's not as fun, is it? It's not as fun. You're young, so you're going to remember everything now for the whole rest of your life. I just think it's so cool to be able to walk through a park and be like, oh, chiff chaff, oh, mistletoe. Right. Oh, hello, Suki and Arza and Salah and Eunice. Hello, good to see you. I'm just on my Facebook page now, saying hello to people. You saw a blue tit today. Oh, I love the blue tits. The little fluffy yellow tummies. Hello, Timothy and Joseph and Julietta and Noah and Hugo and Katerina. Hello. And Laurie and Flynn. All right. Oh, brilliant. Everyone's here. And there's Grace and Rose. And Evie. Splendid. If you're still watching at this point, then goodness me, I don't know why. You're probably supporting me already. But if you are not supporting me and you're like, oh, this is pretty good, I'm tuning in every week, she deserves to be paid for the ludicrous amounts of work and time, then you can pay me. You can go to my About section on YouTube and click sign up, and it takes to this website called Coffee, and I will send you Theatre of Science magazine whenever I've written it. If you sign up, I will straight away send you this issue, which is on mould. It's got a comic about the discovery of penicillin. It's got a choose your own adventure. It's got a free biodegradable plastic bag so you can grow your own mould. I'll send you some rainbow gutters that make you see rainbows. I'll send you a description of how they work. I will just be incredibly grateful for you paying my wages. So most people are paying like £5 or £6 a month. That's all I need from enough people. This can be my job, and I get to share this with you, which is just obviously obviously the best job ever. Okay, I think we're done. If you're hanging around, I'm just going to read my notes, because halfway through I got a little niggly like, oh, you were going to tell them something there and then you forgot. So I just want to check that I haven't. I don't think I have. I think I covered it. Yeah, birds need to practice their songs. That was probably my favourite fact that I learned. Proclaiming their territory. We talked about how male scientists are more likely to study male birds. Funny. Oh yeah, the chiff-chaff is called the chiff-chaff because it apparently makes a sound like chiff-chaff, chiff-chaff, chiff-chaff. But apparently it used to be called the chit-chat, and I definitely agree that it does sound more like it's saying chit-chat, chit-chat, chit-chat. So if you go to this, I can't recommend enough this Surrey Wildlife Trust website, which tells you a really beautiful description of what each of the birds sounds like. I'm just having a look. Oh yeah, if you've seen a blue tit today, have a listen out. The author of this blog on Surrey Wildlife Trust reckons that the blue tit is singing pee 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 diddy pee diddy 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 diddy. Believe me, he really does. Yeah, so there's just beautiful descriptions for how they all... A cull tit is apparently saying itsy witsy teeny weeny. So there you go. Yeah, the chiff-chaff. There's loads of them. Just go and have a listen to them all. Oh, I could just read it all day. Right, okay. Right, I'm going to go. Thank you so much for coming. I'll see you next week. Next week is going to be our last one before just a week off for half term because it's the York holidays. So that's when I take my holidays. And it's both my children's birthdays, so I need to do something about that. But yeah, I'll be back with the Lego story time. So there's one more Lego story time next week and then a week off and then it starts again. And one more home ed lesson next week as well. All right, you lot, thanks so much for coming. I'll see you soon. Bye.